There's a kind of suffering that's especially hard to face, not because it isn't real, but because it's often hidden, unseen, or pushed to the margins because it feels too heavy, too complicated, too painful to hold. Today, I want to talk about how the Day of Prayer for the Legal Protection of the Unborn calls Christians not just to speak, but to suffer well. Abortion involves layers of suffering we'd often rather not look at: the suffering of the unborn child, the suffering of mothers, often isolated, afraid, or overwhelmed, the suffering of fathers, families, medical professionals, and society, and the long, quiet suffering that can follow: grief, regret, and moral injury. To suffer well does not mean looking away from suffering we find unbearable. It means learning to see the truth without despair, without judgment. Now, before you get upset, what do I mean without judgment? I mean condemnation. I don't mean that we shouldn't discern good and evil, and I don't mean that we shouldn't speak up for life. But we can speak up for life mercifully, understanding that this can be an extremely difficult, scary decision to make, and ask God, how can I help this decision for life become more possible? This day invites us to resist the temptation to numb ourselves emotionally, spiritually, and instead to stand gently in the presence of suffering with God. Advocating for the unborn can cost us something: misunderstanding, criticism, strained relationships, deep grief. And yet, this kind of faithfulness, obedience without applause, love without guaranteed outcomes, is exactly the kind of suffering we see through the lives of the saints. In the longer video, we'll reflect on how to hold truth without cruelty, how to pray where we cannot fix, and how this day teaches us to stand with Christ at the cross, beside the vulnerable, beside suffering we cannot undo, and beside hope we refuse to abandon. If you're longing to know how to remain faithful without hardening your heart, I invite you to watch the full video linked below. Until next time, may God meet you where you are and teach you gently how to suffer well.